Welcome to Red Ice Creations Radio. This is Henrik Palmgren, your host, and this is Internet Talk Radio, headquartered on the west coast of Sweden, and we are available worldwide at redicecreations.com. And if you visited the site recently, you've seen that our new site is up and running, including our new subscriber section. And thanks to everyone who has signed up. If you haven't, do check it out. You get access to an awesome archive of shows, and you'll at the same time support this program and help to keep us going. Thanks to Dr. Lorraine Day for being with us last week, talking about food and health and a lot of other issues. Today we have Alan Watt back with us on the show, and we're proud to have him on from now on as a regular guest. So stick around and you'll find out more about that. Today we have Alan Watt with us back on the program, and we're very glad to have him. We actually made a proposal last time we spoke to Alan, and we're going to have him on now as a regular guest on an indefinite basis here. Alan will be on this show the last Sunday of every month, and it's great to have him, considering his vast knowledge and all the things that he's been researching and talking about. So, and last time we spoke, we got very positive and good feedback on the show. So, you guys want to hear more of Alan, and we certainly want to hear more here too. So, it's great to have him back. Welcome to the show, Alan. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm keeping nice and warm.
Ah, excellent. Are you cold up there yet in Canada?
Yeah, it's been 10 below freezing last night, so.
Oh, there we go.
I don't mind that, actually. It's not too bad.
All right. Yeah, you know, kind of last time we talked, we did kind of a broad show, I guess. We did of a lot of different things, kind of meander around all your research and so forth. But I had in mind for this show today to ask you a few questions regarding, to kick things off here, regarding the money system and even the law system itself. But a while back I saw a video regarding that the dollar, and certainly the dollar bill, kind of was considered to be this occult talisman, I guess, a kind of a connection to the magician, in the sense that money has the ability to create something out of nothing, so to speak. And I wonder if you have you come across this at all in your research?
Yeah, money has always had the same magical connotations, even from the about 800 BC, when they first introduced coin. Prior to that, they just weighed the gold or silver. But minting coin they actually used ceremonies for minting the coin, because they knew that everyone's life, even then, was controlled by those who control the money. And true enough, everything in this system, which runs on maritime law, the world runs on commerce, which is based on maritime law, still revolves around money. And growing up in any country at all, it's so strange to see how everyone is born into a system that's pre-existing, and most of them they're trained at school to go out and earn money and pay taxes, which keeps the whole system going. And they never question what it is, or who controls it, or why there are even about 13 banking families worldwide that make up the World Bank, that controls the whole thing. Who gave them the right to do that? So the whole thing is a closely guarded secret. And when you go into the Federal Reserve System of the United States, it's not in any phone book. In the phone books over here, all government agencies are in blue pages. In Canada and the U.S., well, the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve of the United States are not in there, so they're private. They're actually private, but they just using the term like federal or the Bank of Canada, it cons you. It's an actual con to make you or trick to make you think that it's actually a government-owned agency, but it's not.
And that's quite interesting that you mentioned that. I recently saw Aaron Russo's film From Freedom to Fascism, It kind of attacks the Federal Reserve System, and I can't recall the guy's name now, but there is one guy in there who has been fighting this system. He's an old IRS agent, I think, who has been fighting this system for quite some time now, and it feels like the system itself has taken quite some heat in in the last few years here. I mean, do you think that it will? What will happen if this collapse? I guess in the film, a lot of people, or an interview rather, I saw after the film was a lot of people was worried that if this system collapsed, the entire money system itself collapsed. And do you think that this is so?
No. The whole thing was a juggling act to begin with. It's just a con job with mathematics.
Yeah.
That's all. The Federal Reserve just prints up money. Every central bank of every country does the same thing. They print it up and pass it out, but they get permission from the world bankers to do so. And they must pay the world bankers back, even though they're getting nothing from them except a check. They must pay them back in real goods, real wealth. That's the trick of this. Now, they could keep this going forever if they wanted to, but in reality, according to the agenda, eventually we'll be on a single world currency. Eventually. Yeah. For instance, they've got Europe on the European currency. They've already come out and openly admitted now there'll be an American. The whole continent of the Americas will have a currency. Yeah. The Amerigo. Yeah. Maybe they'll call it the Merry-Go-Round. But the thing is, they'll have 1-2 for the Far East, I'm sure. Yeah. That's your tribe. The three parts of the world that they're controlling. And then, of course, maybe around 2020 or even before, they'll have a single currency. See, money is a con job to make you work in a system. Yeah. That's all the money is. It wouldn't matter if it was paper or porcupine quills or seashells, as long as the same people are in charge of dispensing it. Yeah. It's just a con job. Money is the first con trick in the world. So, I mean, could this be, to get back to the occult connection, I mean, because there is quite, literally, this is the way as the world runs today, that people, get things done. I mean, you can, for instance, build a bridge with nothing if you got the money to pay for the work and for the goods, basically. So, I mean, it is a magical connotation to it, I guess. Oh, it has. It definitely is. Some of the best communists were trained by the capitalist bankers. And we know that Karl Marx was not only trained by them, he was paid by them to write his manifesto in London, England. And the Rothschilds funded him, and through Engels as well. And we know that a lot of what he said was true because he was getting it from the horse's mouth. Yeah. And he talked extensively on money and how all it did was represent labor. Because everything came into being in this world, in this system, which is not ours, through labor, you see. And it's like training a rat to pull a lever and get a seat or a reward. Money is the reward for the expenditure of labor. And then they can tax so much of that labor back from you and then pay other laborers to keep their system going, or get a standing army or a police force to keep you all in check. So this is the trick of money. It's to keep a system in place. But what's interesting, too, is even when the Rothschilds were trained to take over the 5 central banks of Europe, the 5 sons. Now, these guys were not... I've read the authorized version by the grandmother, Rothschild, which is nonsense. They always have a great myth of the foundation. How they were just rag collectors in a ghetto and they swapped rags and stuff and sold the occasional coin. That was so far from the truth. Old Anstel Rothschild was trained by the biggest banks in Frankfurt, Germany. And he trained his sons in the mysteries of banking. And those 5 guys, I don't think they simply went over to take over banks or countries. I think they were actually asked into those countries to manage the money for the elite. That's what they were trained for. Yeah, I see. But what is interesting is once Rothschild took over the Bank of England, which was started up, by the way, by a Rosicrucian, a Mason, a Freemason.
Mm-hmm.
He came from Scotland, in fact, to start it up. But Rothschild took it over eventually. But he also set up a temple inside the bank that very few people were allowed into, because they had their own inner religion. There's no cultic religion involved here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the question, I guess here is, could someone, set up, as just as you say, set up the Rothschild dynasties to handle the money? And I guess my question moves, into the area of because this is a lot of controversy and so forth, regarding that all the bankers are Jewish. But I mean, if we go deep enough, are you suggesting that behind the scenes, in that sense, there is no division between races in that sense?
There's no division at all. In fact, for a long time, people thought that the Queen's personal banker, that was Baring, the Baring brothers, they thought that they were Jewish, but they're not Jewish at all. And some of the other families, like the Hammocks, the Hamill family, they are also a banking family. They aren't either. So they use the race game for the little people to argue about and fight over. But at the top, when you're a member of the high elite, the true illumined ones, you might say, there is no racial division at all.
Interesting, yeah, because that solves, I guess, a lot of the fighting that has been going on within the research community, with people blaming this group or the other group or that. But again, I mean, as I interpret you as you're saying here, this is about a group who is above all groups and doesn't have this connection to any of them, I guess.
You see, that's part of the... See, everything's done in symbology, and very few people in the system that we are trained into are able to interpret symbology, because we're taught to be linear thinkers. We're taught at school that 2 and 2 is 4, and so on, like a pattern and a ritual. And we look for patterns and things, and when we don't get it according to our training, we miss the meanings of things. Well, if you look at the United States, the flag with the eagle, the one that's with the Great Seal, it's got the eagle on it. There's 2 sides to that seal. One is the pyramid, and one is the eagle. Now, the eagle has... You'll always see it with 2 claws. One claw holds arrows, and there's 13 arrows there. And, of course, the other one has the olive branch with 13 fruit. And the 13, of course, is a Kabbalistic number. All of this stuff broke out openly in Europe around the 1500s with the Renaissance, the renewal. And Kabbalah came into everything. Most of the founding fathers of the U.S. were Freemasons. That's why they took 33 of them to sign the Independence Charter, basically. 33 degrees of Masonry, of the lower orders, that is. And there was a whole bunch of them submitted designs for the Great Seal, and eventually they picked the 2, the eagle and the pyramid. Now, above the eagle, you also find 32 feathers on one wing and 33 on the other. The whole thing is full of symbology. But above the eagle, there's what they call a nimbus. A nimbus is a cloud. And if you look at it, there's actually stars there which make up the so-called Star of David. It's not David's star at all, but that's above it all. And supposedly that was given in tribute to a banker, a Jewish banker, who helped fund them. That's the common story, but that's nonsense. It's not. It's for the generative force, the upside